You know what I mean? So I know and have known in my life that I'm going to live forever. I know I'll die, but I know I'm going to live forever until then, and then live beyond that. You know, right?
Well, that certainly is a better approach to life in that it gives you comfort, and that's what.
No, that's what history shows us. History has shown us that.
In what way?
That human beings are still here, not because of our wise decision making. Like, nobody's story says that. We've gotten assistance along the way that we needed it, and we have implemented it globally. This is why those one world people exist, because it's a very powerful concept to have, and far too lucrative and beneficial to not be attempted.
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to run some global power organization, I would try to co-opt every single leader, try to suck them in, offer support, bring them out to wherever the fuck I have my big-ass meetings, fly everybody in private jets to talk about the climate crisis.
All organizations have to follow the same rules.
Yeah, that's wild.
Recruitment is an important facet of all. Like,
we have to get some young global leaders.
Well, understand, this is the only reason that we can talk about these big Illuminati-like entities at this period of time. It's just because of time. Like, they aged out. Like, you can't get in new. So everybody got decrepit over there, and they can't exchange really through this period of history. And so that's how we ended up with the Bob Lazars and everything. Throughout history, you could really, it was much easier to get people to not tell nobody.
Right.
That's part of your job. You know what I mean?
Imagine going to a World Economic Forum party. What did those freaks do when all the listening devices have been scanned out of the room? All their phones have been put into bags and locked away in a lead vault. What do those freaks do? Because you know it's not normal shit. You know everybody's buttoned down like that and wants to control the world. There's something involved that's outlandish that they keep a secret. That's always been the case with secret societies. I mean, that's the whole eyes wide shut thing. That there's some freak shit going on behind the scenes to anybody that really wants to control everything. You don't just want to control everything. You want to control everything so you can get away with some freak shit too.
Right, I'm saying, but these Epstein-like characters have existed throughout history. Whether they were kings or what, human beings are human beings universally. So everybody is a supplier. Epstein, Weinstein, like these guys knew what these extremists liked and provided it, and provided the way for you to to have $1 billion and not create a fantasy island type environment has not existed throughout history.
Right. And there's always been those people can only kind of interact with those kind of people. When you reach that certain level of wealth and global success, like you're a Bill Gates type guy, how many guys can Bill Gates hang out with? Bill Gates can't just go bowl and join the bowling team and make friends with other bowlers. It's too weird. He's got to hang out with his kind. And the more you do that, the less you are in touch with what makes sense to say. And that's when you see them saying the most outlandish shit, because they don't recognize how regular people are going to react to what the fuck you're saying. You know what? We're going to own nothing and be happy? What the fuck did you just say? Did you say I'm going to own nothing and be happy? But there's things. So who owns the things? And who enforces who owns the things. And how do you do that? When you take away everybody's weapons, you're the only one that has weapons, and you get to decide who owns the things. And no one owns the things, and everyone's happy. Okay.
Right, but part of what you're trying to do is you're trying to come up with something that allows you to have the power while also profiting simultaneously. Right. So if it's modern religion, let's say, so in the teaching of Jesus' time, right, when they said pay the tithes, right, it was, you had your whole farming plot, let's say it was 40 acres and you had corn planted there, right? You would when it came time to harvest, you would harvest everything except the rows that were on the fence, right? And the rows that were on the fence, that was the 10% of your field that would go to people that didn't have it. So it wasn't just you giving the 10%. It was also the fact that human nature is, if you were going to give people some of your crops, you gonna pick out the best crops for you and your family, and then you'll put another pile for the giveaway. Right. You know what I'm saying? And this took care of that, where it was all equal, and the person that didn't have to feel like they was a beggar. They could come and pick and see which corn they liked and get. You see what I'm saying?
Well, that's a smart move just for harmony in the community too. Then people have a vested interest in this farmer being successful with his crop.
Right.
Some of that crop is yours.
But the decision to take it from that to God said, give me 10% in this plate is going to make $1 billion a day for 1 billion people. This is why Tesla has to go. Why? Because not what Tesla is saying about electricity. It's the fact that he's saying this should be free for everybody, everywhere.
Yeah, he wanted to have aerial electricity free for everybody, like radio waves.
And the day that you say that,
that's a wrap.
It's cheaper to keep her because we make $200 billion a day, and we all agree universally you should pay for this, and we'll be in charge of selling it to you.
And we'll shut it off if you fuck around.
So for us to say, I think they're gonna do that with cars.
Duh.
This is how this goes, and the
100%
processes.
Yeah, that's the conspiracy theorist's biggest fear about electric cars. But it's not just electric cars. We found out it's an OnStar. It's on, I have a Cadillac Escalade. That has an OnStar. If I'm driving, the government wants to stop me, they can just shut my car off. It's crazy.
And if you were in that business, what would you tell them they need to do in the next 5 years?
Yeah,
get better at it.
Yeah, get better at that. Control where they go, control the steering wheel, control everything. I want you to auto driving on all cars. Auto driving on all cars with third-party input.
Is this not what we would say to Tesla? To Elon, if he said, I want to make cars.
Right.
Well, we say, okay, well, these are the regulations, and you have to make them like this. And
it'd be nice if you could just control that car. Here, this is how you sell it to people. If someone steals your car, we can get it back. And you go, oh, that's great. If someone steals my car, they can get it back. How are they going to get it back? Well, they control your car.
You can make it cheap enough to not be a difficult sale, though, Joe.
Yeah, make it cheap.
That's what capitalism is about.
Yeah. Well, that's also like when you get free internet or free services through Google, right? It's free. But what you're giving up is your data, which is extremely valuable. So they're giving you something. You can now use Google, but now they have all your data, and they're just a big net that mines data. And because of that, they become one of the most powerful entities that's ever existed on Earth. There was a story that
we learned this from fishermen, how a net works and how much it's important to get as much in as you possibly can, and that's where analytics live, and that's where I'm saying this is where the DNA industry is built off of, is the fact of the future. Like at that same point that you're saying that we'll have those cars that do that, they'll be able to predict crime. And step in before certain things even need to happen.
or they'll probably instigate you to a certain level of stress that they could indicate that you're about to commit crime, and then they come in and get you.
they won't need to. They won't need to be that nefarious, only because some of this stuff we know already. It just requires profiling that we're not comfortable with. Like worldwide, most terrible crimes are committed by. This is 73rd time I'm getting it. Most crime worldwide is done by men with a micro penis, and doctors know who they are, and so at some point they would be able to just focus where they need to focus, and they would know certain things, and that's where, this is why AI exists. If you're a personal AI, you store your information, you make moves based upon what you've learned. So it's not a difficult process. All through history, they had these oracles and these heads that gave answers.
Right.
And this is where that whole occult conversation intersects, is because at the end of the day, information is information, and the universe is built on a yin-yang thing that applies to everybody.
And we're slowly getting connected to that oracle, slowly getting sucked into that black hole to the point where it will be inescapable.
Right.
Yeah. And those old billionaire dudes would love to be in control of all that.
Look, what else are you to do with that type of money, Joseph?
Buy a bigger yacht. Yeah, that's the problem.
Right.
It's like, what's the next game? What's the real game?
As human beings, that's what our expectations are.
Yeah.
Of.
Always.
Yeah, what can you do? And at the end of the day, no matter how much money you amass, it's only about either how you can help others. And if you do that, you're never going to be fulfilled either, because you're never going to help enough people. And that's going to be your whole thing, is not being able to help enough people and just wishing that you could help more.
Right.
Or feeling like everybody is a commodity, and that's the way these things work, and find out who I'm going to take advantage of and do so. And that's a major part of a lot of things. Like
another major pattern that human beings fall into time and time again.
Well, the Jewish people are powerful people on this planet, and a lot of that has to do with the process that they have in instilling in their young people a certain amount of information and wherewithal and conversation that does not happen with other cultures, let's say. And that exists only in a few places around the world, but they're always important, especially if you look at things from a non-religious point of view.
Again, it goes back to information.
At all points.
Yeah. All cultures exchanging information with each other, and the healthiest cultures are the ones that can both give the most freedom and allow people to innovate.
Right, helping ourselves and others.
Yeah.
And the profit and the benefit and that's part of the process, right? But that's no different than what everybody's religious story says. Like,
what do you think ghosts are? You think that's real?
Interestingly, I don't believe in. supernatural or you don't. And there are facets to everything. So if you don't believe in anything supernatural, then I would assume that means you don't believe in God either. It's like I was telling you earlier. I don't know how you could be a Christian and not believe in extraterrestrials. It's in your book. It says there was a war in heaven and God was fighting Satan and threw him down here. This is taking place. So,
also, when you get to the Old Testament, Ezekiel's story. Ezekiel's story is essentially about a UFO encounter.
I was really frustrated as a black person that we weren't included more in the Bible, right? And so I felt very good when I found that some of the books of the Bible that were banned because they had black guys in them.
Really? What books of the Bible? This is the New Testament? Is this when they were...
You've heard about the book of Enoch?
Yes.
Right. So, if you know that book, it says that Noah was an albino.
I always wondered about Noah's age. They talked about him being hundreds of years old,
and it tells everybody's story.
Yeah. But here's my thought: if human beings were at one point in time more technologically advanced than we are now, which is possible, we are on the verge of taking human life and expanding it way beyond 100 years. We're real close to that. The people that are alive today will live to be 150.
I'm not qualified to be having any of this conversation.
I'm barely qualified because I've talked to a lot of qualified
disclaimer,
people.
but understand, we know more now. We know that the earth is not spinning now the same way that it once was. We know that.
It's slightly different. Measurably different, right?
I'm saying, the interesting thing is in all of those stories that we're talking about, it never says that they did anything different that got them to be in that position. It just says that they were blessed by God. So
yeah, they were there.
This is at a time when people were dying of some things that today we would call pretty easy.
Yeah.
But it was wiping out whole groups of people. But, yeah, it's interesting.
Well, it's fascinating because there's no way to go back there and see what the fuck was going on. So no matter what, not yet.
Let's be fair, though. They're not telling some wild story. If they say that a guy had this guy lived 600 years, they're also telling you about the 346 children that he had and his 1,500 wives. Hold on.
Yeah.
These are numbers to back up.
Right. If human beings do live to be 500 years old, that's a real possibility.
That would be the only way that you could show that.
Yeah.
Is by
talking about all the wives and all the children, and if you do take what we know now, in terms of what they are capable of doing now with human beings and lengthening telomeres, there's a lot of different methodologies that they're using that they believe will extend human life. Use of metformin, NMN, hyperbaric chambers. There's a bunch of different things they're doing. And then there's CRISPR. When they're doing genetic engineering on kids now, and in China, they did genetic engineering that would make the children more likely to be brilliant, more likely to be super intelligent.
Sir, why are you acting surprised by key components of the breeding process?
Right. True, right?
If we're talking about Frisians, or if we're talking about German Shepherds or Doberman Pinschers, this is perfectly fine, right?
Right.
For me to say that thanks to these reasons, this dog is the sheer example of the confirmation of the breed, and that his attributes are his intelligence and his loyalty and his... Right. This is all part
of
that
shit in a test tube for your kid. Why wouldn't you do it? That's what I think they're going to start off with normal stuff.
It all starts off as normal stuff, because it's abnormal. So the first thing you're doing is, okay, so we're in charge of, like, how could you not?
How could you not?
Is more the question to be had, and that's why in that profession they're allowed to do certain things and then tell you they're not going to do it no more.
Yes,
that's a key component.
We're not going to do that anymore, Kat. We changed our mind. If they're telling you that there's no clones, the guy telling you is probably a fucking clone. At this point, I have no doubt that they've made human clones. They've made dog clones. You can get your dog cloned. If your dog's gonna die, you can get the DNA from your dog, get a fucking puppy, and it'll be eerily similar to your dog. They think including some personality traits, which is just very bizarre, very Pet Cemetery.
Right.
But if they can do that, why can't they do that to people? They can.
Well, here's the thing. Before this goes off the rail,
it's too late.
Because there is a God, the bar has been set so insanely high for your clone that you can't really get much usage out of it.
Well, if there's a God and you have a clone, the clone doesn't have a soul because you don't have a soul to give that clone.
Or a personality, or certain things like a subconscious. Like, that's not available on the market. Lungs are, heart is, arms are.
Right.
But subconscious, we still don't have the understanding of that, or how we're able to be as brilliant as we are in this world while only using a portion of there are those of us that know with the pineal gland what medicine says it's for, and what that would mean. And so those people's job is to make sure that there's fluoride in all the water. So your pineal gland will shrivel.
Calcify or whatever happens to it.
That's all.
The fluoride thing is wild. The fact that people aren't up in arms about them putting fluoride in your fucking drinking water is so crazy. It's so unnecessary.
It's brilliant on the other end, though.
Oh, yeah.
So what happened is the reason people have that relationship is they cleaned up the water the same time that they did that. You see what I'm saying? So people at that time just remembered the water not being that great. And then all of a sudden the water is really great, and it's got fluoride, and it's good for your teeth. Right.
Despite the fact that there's direct correlations between high levels of fluoride in drinking water and low IQs. They think it lowers people's IQs. They think it's terrible for you. Fluoride's dangerous. You're not supposed to swallow toothpaste.
Look, whatever you're saying, people won't find out about that for 100 years, and I'm not even going to be 100. And most of these decisions are made like that.
Yeah. Well, most people are terribly unaware of the fluoride thing. When you bring it up, they always say it's good for your teeth. Like, don't you brush your fucking teeth? Like, why do you need fluoride? Why do you need fluoride in your water? Are you sure that's why your teeth aren't falling out?
It's the fact that people don't understand that it's a toxic thing that you can't buy or purchase or handle.
It's in your drinking water. And it's not doing you any good other than supposedly it's good for your teeth.
Well, even if it was,
Yeah, even if it was,
even if it was great for your teeth and your bones, you drinking it wouldn't be the way you'd be trying to get there.
No,
but
I don't even use fluoride toothpaste.
I'm not gonna let you take me where this conversation is going.
Where's it going?
Now that we went to fluoride, like I'm
Where's
gonna
it
have
going?
to cut no further than that, because once you start having what they'll do, like yeah, you understand everything's a campaign, and that's how you can approach it. Everything is find out
who's making money off this.
Where's the profit? How does this make sense? Why? Yeah.
So right now the fluoride plants are going, what the fuck are they talking about? Somebody just introduced legislation to try to remove fluoride from some state from drinking water. Some people are waking up to it. They're realizing that this is so unnecessary and obviously not good.
Well, just understand that there are far too many places that don't have clean waters.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, like
Flint, Michigan. Still that water's fucked up. There's what about that place in Ohio where
and why? Because nobody wants it to be their fault, so nobody will take
right.
You understand how?
Well, even the government.
There's
plenty of money for
not even. Yeah. Like how are we allowed to have a foreign policy when we are violating the policies here?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like what do you mean the immigrants are getting a check and we're putting them up in places that what? You mean in the homeless people's face?
Right in the homeless people's faces.
Like,
right?
Let us show you what we could have done.
Right.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's not okay as a society.
No. Well, did you see the scam that they were trying to do in New York City? Where they were trying to give them debit cards with $10,000, but there's people getting cuts all along the way?
That wasn't a scam. That was business that got uncovered. Yeah, and I'll prove it to you. When you go to, if you go to jail in New York, everybody goes to Rikers Island. So I was in Rikers Island. So if you got money on you when you go in, they give you a card when you leave, and it's got money on it. Your amount. Like, systems are the system. Like, right.
Yeah, there's a lot of money being made.
Yeah.
A lot of money being tossed around in the system. And if you have a thing like an open immigration policy, for sure, someone's figuring out how to profit off that. Someone's figuring out something about that.
No, you're looking at it the wrong way. There is no one who isn't profiting.
Everyone's profiting.
I'm saying, how ridiculous is it for you to think you have the greatest country in the world and then it not be a big deal to get there?
Of course.
What do you mean?
Of course.
This is the bees saying, why do they love our honey so much?
Well, no one's shocked at that. What people are shocked at is that there's no effort whatsoever to stop the stem of illegal immigration. That's what people are freaked out about. Like, it seems like
we're not freaked out about the loss of bees.
I am.
If all the bees are gone, we're going to die as a civilization because we didn't protect one of the most important insects in the whole ecosystem. Yeah. Right. So, you know.
And they think cell phone signals are fucking them up too.
Well,
imagine you've been a bee forever, and then all of a sudden someone introduces cell phone signals everywhere.
This is part of the purpose of religion in society, is to try to get you away from exploring all of the things you could be doing with your time and put it somewhere that's healthier.
Like, what do you mean?
Like principles of meditation and, believing that you should be trying to do a good job and being nice, because it's not really that profitable, right? But here we are talking about, that's what really would help our country and civilization if we treated the downtrodden better. But the truth is, there's very little money in that.
Yeah.
There's very little money in that. The truth is that the immigrants that come over here are generally super qualified at something.
Yeah, and motivated.
And
I mean, shit. If I just walked here,
that's what's made all immigration important. You know what I mean? Like the Mexican people were the second, they were their own jolt to the civilization of the fact that, you say, oh, they shouldn't come over, but anybody that comes over willing to work hard and succeed, and those are people you want apart, and they immediately help. Like, you can look at the extremes, of course, but the benefit are astronomical and always have been since Pangea.
Yeah, the benefits are great. The side effects are crime. And that's what you have to be careful of. Especially when you got organized crime that's coming in to sell fentanyl. You got a lot of that. That's a wild one. Because that's propped up by laws. That's propped up by our drug laws. And that puts you in a real complicated situation. Like, do you make drugs legal? Everything legal. The problem is you're going to get a bunch of people that get addicted to drugs that probably wouldn't without that. And then you have to say, is that just part of the process? We have to learn to deal with this new thing that's everywhere and readily available. And how many people are going to try it just because it's legal? Probably quite a few. But at least how many people are not going to die from fentanyl poisoning because they're going to get pure stuff? Probably a lot.
Talking fentanyl in specific, like, it's a very difficult conversation to have because most of the things that we will all agree are terrible drugs aren't being used at the hospital.
Right.
So until that part gets taken, like, it's a bad look all the way around. But the bar has been set so high. Like, everything that's called a drug nowadays is terrible. Like, there's been no evolution. Like, yikes.
Well, that's part of the problem with keeping drugs illegal, and especially psychedelic drugs, since 1970. It's like stymied human evolution, stymied research, stymied growth.
What did?
Keeping drugs illegal, keeping psychedelic drugs illegal.
Look, if there was a God, then he put a fail-safe on the drug so that you would have a barrier.
And that's Richard Nixon?
That's ODing.
ODing, yeah. Right, with those drugs.
Right, so really what's happening is you're like, okay, whatever you're on, do it till you're dead. And so, statistically, that's going to happen. You're going to lose some people, but the people that's not doing it, they're not going to start doing it.
Right, and they're going to learn from the people that died. Like, you learned to not eat poisonous plants.
You would think, but if that were true, nobody in the world would ever do heroin. Like, if you've ever seen somebody kick it, like, you would never do it. Like, it doesn't matter how it makes you feel if the end result is defecating and urinating in a puddle that you're laying in while being naked, then
true.
You would just call that poisonous.
If you were smart. Yeah. You would learn. You would learn from other people doing it. And that's the thing. It's like we're reluctant to allow that factor into people's lives, but kind of have with a lot of other factors.
Well, a lot of these things were used sparingly and in context as well. You know what I'm saying? So
particularly on psychedelics, they were used in a ritualistic way.
But that's like us saying, well, in that cooking show, they were using herbs and spices. Like, yeah, that goes with it.
Right.
Like,
right.
If somebody tells you that when they used to come through with the ball and the smoke and the incense, that at one point it was marijuana, right? Understand that it was setting the mood of the room. You know what I mean? That's how you know there is an occult. How could there not be? There's another side to everything, universally. So, yeah.
That must have been a wild time in church. Everybody's just got contact high. People walking down the aisles with balls filled with marijuana smoke.
Well, understand, this is not being consistently done. This is being done.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so there's no such thing as you getting too much of it. You're not getting enough to do anything except relax.
Right.
And relax is what you should be doing as we discuss what we're discussing.
Yeah, it'll humble you a little. Calm you down a little.
It'll take the edge off.
Yeah.
You're not getting enough to have the munchies, and if you do, we'll probably have a little something for I don't know. But I'm saying all throughout history, people have been searching for this connection. And we don't have historically any evidence of any groups of people doing something for no reason.
Right.
There was a element to this. So when we have the stories of we went in this cave and crazy shit was down there, and like we now know that a lot of that existed. Like the air is not the same down there. Like it might have been a poisonous gas in there, and we know that these were things that were not known then. So it's just fascinating to see the stories where we are now and to see how advanced they were on these particular subjects. And at time weeded out the BS stories really well.
Yeah, there's probably something to all of them. There's probably something to all stories from all cultures. There's a reason why they would want to tell them over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm. One of the criteria for it to last over time. Yeah. Like, that's what I understood. When I broke the internet, I was trying, let me see if you know, like, when you start studying quotes and where great quotes come from, you start getting these people that are known for their great quotes, right? But the further you go back, you see who really said it first. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's what brings it full circle to that emerald tablet I was telling you about, right? Because 70% of it is something you've heard somewhere else.
Well, I can't wait to read it. I wasn't even aware of it, but it totally makes sense.
Like, there are things in it that are verbatim to the Bible, verbatim to the Quran, like verbatim to...
I'm gonna read it.
It's a great thing.
Cat Williams, thank you for being here, man. It was a lot of fun.
Glad we finally met, Joe.
Glad I finally met you.
Yeah, me too.
I appreciate you very much, man. And we talk well about you all the time. I think you're one of the best comics of all time. And, I think you're a fucking animal, man. You get after it in a way that, like, the energy that you have, I appreciate you very much. Very much. So it was a lot of fun. Thanks for being here. All right. Bye, everybody. This episode is brought to you by Simply Safe. When you want peace of mind, I think the first thing you've got to get is a Simply Safe home security system. It's comprehensive protection for your whole home with cutting-edge technology and 24/7 professional monitoring that'll help keep you and your family safe. The installation process is real simple. You can easily do it yourself or leave it to a professional team. And the best part, in my opinion, is there is no long-term contracts ever. So you'll always get the protection that you need at half the cost of traditional home security. Experts and customers love these systems. It was even named Best Home Security System of 2024 by the U.S. News and World Report. So if you want to protect your home today, I recommend Simply Safe. Right now, listeners of this podcast can get a special 20% off any new Simply Safe system when they sign up for Fast Protect monitoring. Just visit simplysafe.com/Rogan. Don't wait, that's simplysafe.com/Rogan.
Episode 2108, Hungry.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
The Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day. What in the flying?
See it, bro. That's you too. And we're up. What the fuck is happening, Tom?
Yeah. Great to be here, man.
Man.
Made it back. Last time I saw you, I don't know, my eyes might have been a little crossed.
Well, last time I saw you was last night.
Right, that's
And the night before last.
Yeah, that's true. We'd start with that then.
But the last time we saw each other on a podcast,
Yeah.
things went a little west. We got a little intoxicated.
So, absolutely. So, you know, the whiskey kept pouring, and that was when I had that van. So I still have the van, but at the time I was kind of living in the van, traveling in the van. So I drove.
Heavy COVID. This is like
Heavy
the beginning of COVID, where it was like weird to be around each other. Like, we okay? We got tested.
Yeah,
hey,
right. We did. Got the COVID test, and then I had the van out in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And we started drinking the whiskey about midway through the show, and then the next thing I know, I'm opening my eyes in my van, and it's the next day, and I'm just like, oh shit, what happened on the show? So I think that maybe the last half hour of the show was such a blur. I don't really quite remember getting the van, but I had a nice sleep in the parking lot. It was amazing, and then I kind of was a little nervous about like, geez, what? That's a weird. And everybody seemed, like it was. People thought it was funny, but I mean, I think she was a little concerned about the amount of drinking. But no, it was a great time. But I'm not.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was a great time.
It was fun. So we got a little off the rails. You didn't have to go anywhere.
No.
Van was parked.
It was awesome.
What is it like sleeping in parking lots? That's got to be an odd thing.
Well, I rarely did that in the van. It was mostly out in these remote desert parks, like out in Bureau of Land Management land, BLM land in the desert.
Yeah.
And I was going around filming, and so I wasn't. But there was a couple of times I'd sleep in a truck stop because I was wanting to make a lot of distance. So I'd drive until I kind of couldn't keep my eyes open. Then I'd pull over at a truck stop and sleep.
Sketchy proposition, right? You don't know who's around.
Yeah, well, in the desert, it's a little more nerve-wracking because you're all alone out there, and people can see the van in the distance, and it's a pretty nice van.
That's what the aliens come
So,
to.
yeah. I was hoping for that, but
Nothing.
No aliens. I had a nice flyover from a U.S. fighter jet in the Trona Pinnacles, this amazing part of desert in California.
Oh yeah.
And I was the only person there, and I could tell this fighter jet saw me, and he just kind of came in right over.
Oh wow!
Right over
just to say hi.
Yeah, and I didn't get my camera out in time. I was
Flew in one of those ones.
Yeah.
The Blue Angels.
Oh yeah.
God, it's insane. When you realize what those jets can do. And I think what they were flying was like an FA-18. So that's true.
Nice. Yeah.
I think that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we did. And
I believe they are actually.
I think they have even more capable jets now. Because this is when, I want to say this is like 2003, 2, something like that. Way back in the day. I have a plaque. It says you flew with the Blue Angels.
Full major G forces. I've never been in a fighter jet.
Yeah, I did. I think I did 6.5 G's, something like that. And I stayed conscious, but then I blacked out when I forgot to do the hooking on a lesser run. Like it was lesser. It was like 4 G's or something like that.
Forgot to do the hook.
No, I'm sorry. You when you're going through high G's, you do a thing called hooking. I think that's how they say it. When you hold on to the joystick, or you can hold on to your straps on your legs if you're the passenger like I was. And you're like this. And you're literally forcing blood into your head to stay conscious.
Yeah.
So while we're doing this, I'm feeling, that's what you're doing. See how she's doing that?
Nice.
See how she's doing it?
Yeah. So this is
That's
why.
how you stay conscious. That's how you stay conscious. You have to force the blood into your fucking brain.
It seems like it's kind of slightly on the edge of not being a perfect system, right? Like, I mean,
Well,
if you have
it's
to do
like
that.
you got to be a bad motherfucker to fly those things.
Yeah.
Those guys were all lifting, like all those Blue Angels pilots. They were all jacked, they're all like super diesel.
Yeah,
Because these guys are just fucking girl. They're wrestling with that thing.
yeah,
Like it's not as simple as like you're like the physical force of going to 6 G's is so extraordinary. You haven't felt anything like it in your life. When and these guys can go to like 13 G's, some of them.
yeah. I don't
It's
think
fucking insane.
I don't think I would want to do that. Actually, I would probably just. I sometimes don't want to do those kinds of things.
You don't have to.
Yeah. It looks amazing, but I just feel like.
I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Just as a wake up call. Like you think you understand. You see a jet, and I think of it almost like, well, obviously, like driving a race car is very difficult, right? But driving a car fast is not that difficult.
Yeah.
You know, like if you have a good car, if you buy a new car today that handles really well, you can, if there's no one around, you can go pretty fucking fast, and it's really in control. But those things are different, man. It's like there's a physical experience. It's so fast. There's so much power and force behind those things.
You got a plane yet? You getting a plane, Joe?
Fuck that. No. Bill Burr pilots. Bill Burr flies around in a goddamn helicopter.
Yeah, that's.
Camp around downtown LA. You can fly wherever you want in a helicopter.
Yeah, helicopters are even more of a no-no for me because they seem to go down a little too much. You know, I've been in a few. I flew in a Black Hawk through Baghdad, and he did one of those USO tours. Did stand up over there back in 2003.
How was that?
That was pretty wild experience. It was right before. Like it was probably, fortunately for my nervous system, right after the mission accomplished banner and right before shit hit the fan with the IEDs. So I was kind of thinking, oh, it's okay, no big deal. And we were over there in the green zone and we were flying around in the Black Hawk helicopter. One night they said, you want to go out on a night patrol in like a tank? And I was all set to go. And then they had to cancel it because of some sort of attack. And then we started hearing there's some stuff happening. We were there for a few days only, but they started avoiding, stuff on the road and the Humvees. And then the second I got back to stateside, that's when it started to get real bad over there. But I did a few of those. I did Afghanistan as well, and was on Chinook helicopters.
Oh wow!
So my dad was military, so that's why I'm rocking the Canadian Army jacket. Canadian Army, we've got an army.
I heard recently heard about it. They didn't fight too hard against tyranny.
Here we go. No, it's we did. Actually, we fought pretty hard against the Germans.
The eternal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. Well,
government tyranny.
Yeah, it's fun. I watch your show all the time, Joe. So it's like I'm a very proud Canadian. So
Tom, you're the granddaddy of the show.
The granddaddy. Well, yeah. I don't know about that, but I mean, first of all, you've always been very. Nice to give me a shout out about those early days of broadcasting in the living room.
Well, dude, you're an awesome guy. I've always loved you. You're always cool to be around. And you also, your show in 2007, when I went on your show, that was 100% a major inspiration for me to do this. Because I remember thinking, oh my God, he figured it out. Like, I remember very clearly, like, sitting next to you on that chair going, dude, this is it. Like, this is it. All you have to do is figure out how to make money with this.
Yeah, you said that on the show, which was hilarious, and then you figured that out. Yeah. You really figured that out. That's cool. That was the missing link, damn it. But, no, that's amazing. No, it was, I remember when we were doing it, I always wanted to do a talk show when I was growing up. I loved Letterman, right? And I'd done my show on...
You were great at it.
Yeah, I really did it.
This episode is brought to you by ShipStation. Listen, whether you're making 100 sales a month or thousands, it's time to optimize how you do business with ShipStation. It's easy to use, and you can manage all your shipping tasks and orders on one simple dashboard. It doesn't even matter where you sell. ShipStation can easily integrate anywhere you sell online, including Walmart, Amazon, Shopify, and more. And as your business grows, as you start making more sales, ShipStation has the solutions that you need to make scaling easy. Over 130,000 companies have grown their e-commerce businesses with ShipStation. Best of all, you'll like this. ShipStation can help reduce costs and improve profitability. It even has industry-leading discounted rates from some of the top mail carriers. So optimize and keep up your momentum for growth with ShipStation. Use the promo code JRE today at ShipStation.com to sign up for your free 60-day trial. That's ShipStation.com, promo code JRE. Tap the banner or visit this episode's page to learn more. This episode is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. This month it's all about St. Patrick's Day. So, to help get into the spirit of things, I want to share a fact. Did you know that the odds of finding a lucky four-leaf clover are 1 in 10,000? I'd say that's pretty difficult. Fortunately, if you're looking to hire, you don't need a four-leaf clover. You don't need any luck. You just need ZipRecruiter, and you can try it for free right now at ZipRecruiter.com/Rogan. They don't need any gimmicks or leprechauns to lead you to a pot of gold, or in this case, top talent, because they have powerful matching technology that shows you qualified candidates as soon as you post a job. And once you review those candidates, you can invite your top choices to apply, which encourages them to apply sooner. If you're curious to see how much ZipRecruiter can help you, today's your lucky day, because remember, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Rogan. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Once again, to try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Rogan. That's ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Did enjoy the first show was more, me out in the street doing crazy stuff, and then we did a talk show, which was a little bit more of a sort of a nightly show, a little bit more time to talk. And I did love doing that when the show stopped. It was right at the time of technology changing on the web, and that was always how
Here you go, kids.
I was looking at technology usually, because when I was a kid, I was in a rap group. And it was from technology, right? I remember drum machines came out, and we were listening to Public Enemy, and going, what are these sounds? How do you do that, right? And then I would go work a summer job. I'd buy a sampler, and a Kai S900 sampler, and an Atari computer. And I'm making beats in my parents' basement in Ottawa, Canada. I was making beats in Ottawa, Canada. We started this group called Organized Rhyme. And
what year is this?
This was, we started in mid-'80s.
So this is all pre-internet.
Yeah, pre-internet, yeah, this was high school.
So how are you finding out about all this stuff back then?
Well, that was, friends at school were listening to rap music, so friends at school were like, hey, you gotta check out Public Enemy, you gotta check out Boogie Down Productions. I'm like, Boogie Down Productions? And then someone would give you a cassette of the criminal-minded Boogie Down Productions, Bridges Over album, and you're listening to it, and they're rapping about Scott Baroque, their DJ, who'd been, unfortunately, passed away in bad circumstances, or shot, killed, and then you're listening to this that was the internet to me. It was rap music and skateboarding. Thrasher made a magazine with skateboarding.
I'm going to get you what you
stories
asked
about
for.
skateboarders in
Here you go,
California
baby.
in a magazine.
Just for a moment.
Listen to
We'll
rap
get you
music
what you
and your
requested.
stories about
Your wish is my
people
command.
who were not in Ottawa,
Here
doing
you
cool
go.
shit. And
You
I
magnificent
was kind of
slut.
wanting to get up on
If you need
stage and
anything
perform.
else,
I
you
was
tell me,
kind
and
of
we're here
dabbling
for
with
you.
stand-up as a
You should have it in your
yuck-yucks in a
You should
comedy
have
club
it in your
Ottawa.
inbox.
And
You're welcome, baby.
so,
What do you say, dabbling?
well, I was doing stand-up, but I never really got to a level where I was doing it every week. I was going down every week for a couple of years. And
What'd you
actually,
say,
the reason I
Big Buck?
stopped was because the rap group got sort of a record deal, basically, and I kind of went focused on
shut
that
it
for a
off,
while. And
You got
stopped
what you
doing
needed, my friend.
stand-up. But yeah, the club in Ottawa, Yuck Yucks in Ottawa, still there. It's moved,
You're welcome.
but it's It's owned by Howard Wagman, who's it's the Yuck Yucks is kind of like the Improv of Canada. It's chain all across the country. Mark Breslin, I'm sure you know Mark. He started it, and it's kind of like it was wild because like I don't know, it was something about the 80s, the 90s, before the internet, right? You'd go down to a comedy club and you'd find out about stuff just through word of mouth, like the rap music and like comedy. So I would go down to the comedy club, and I remember Norm Macdonald come through. He was probably 25 years old, right? And I'm 16 in the audience. And then I got to become this huge fan of Norm. And he was Norm. But back then, there wasn't a lot of people doing stand-up like Norm. Like there wasn't this sort of angle of sort of this absurdity to it. This sort of it was more of a structured, down the middle way of doing stand-up back then. And so Norm was this sort of,
It's a curveball.
Yeah, this sort of curveball, and we just couldn't get enough of it. So every time he was in town, we'd be down there. But Howard Wagman told me this story about Norm, and the first time he came down to do stand-up at Yuck Yucks in Ottawa, and he got off stage, and he was disappointed in how it went. Norm was. He said, "I'm never doing this again." He walked down the street. Howard Wagman chased him down Spark Street in Ottawa and said, "No, that was great. You're coming back." And he made him come back, and the rest is history.
Norm was a legitimate genius.
Yeah.
Like a genius of life. Like a rare specimen.
Mm-hmm.
Like genius in not just that his comedy was brilliant, but just like, look at this. I've never seen this before.
Mm-hmm.
Like a totally different kind of human.
Yeah.
And genuinely always funny. Like every conversation was funny.
Mm-hmm.
He was just funny. I was on a plane with him accidentally twice.
Nice.
Twice.
That must have been amazing.
Twice on two separate occasions. Just totally random.
Uh-huh.
We sat next to each other on the plane, like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And the last one, it was so funny because he was telling me about how he quit smoking. Yeah, I quit smoking. It's turns out it's real bad for you. This whole thing about quitting smoking. And we're talking about it, like, how hard was it to quit? This whole thing. The moment we land, he walks into the gift shop, buys a pack of cigarettes, and he's lighting them before he gets out the door.
Yeah.
I go, I thought you quit. He goes, I did, but all that talking about it made me want to smoke.
Yeah, it's probably all an elaborate setup, right? He probably was planning it the whole way.
I don't know.
Who knows? He probably doesn't even smoke. He was just doing it as a gag. No, he was.
But he was into gambling too, right? So like people that have those kind of like impulse control issues, like gambling is a big impulsive thing. Like, oh, fucking bet, I'm gonna bet on it. Let's put the bet, put it back.
Yeah.
All of it.
That's
right. That kind of wild, crazy sports gambling too.
That's not a good addiction to have, especially when you have money, right?
That's a scary addiction, man. I watched Dana White gamble. I watched Dana White play blackjack, and he was down $600,000.
Yeah.
And my fucking hands were sweating. I was going, what are you guys doing? That's real money.
Yeah.
This is so crazy.
Yeah.
He does it every night.
Yeah.
He does it constantly. There's people that love it. They love it. They love the action. It's thrilling.
For me, fortunately, I've never liked numbers. Like math was never something I enjoyed. So when it comes to blackjack, I'm doing math in my head, and I get very uncomfortable. So I go, I'm not going to be good at this.
That's a great reason to not gamble. You hate math.
Yeah, I just figured I'm not going to be good at this because I can't even really add up what I'm supposed to be doing here quickly. So I'm just going to sit on the side. Plus, I'm cheap. I don't want to lose money.
Not a math person either.
Yeah.
It's a concentration thing. It's like if you concentrated on math, really got good at the basics of it, and then really started getting into more complex mathematics, it'd probably be very fun. Probably be very exciting. But the problem is I never concentrated in high school at all. I didn't pay attention to it. So I'm so removed. Like if people start talking about math, like complex shit.
Yeah. I checked out at long division. Long division, I checked out.
I'm like, are calculators available? They're pretty much everywhere, right?
Right.
And aren't there's like an unlimited supply of batteries? I'm like,
right.
I'm out.
This is what I'm wondering. Now with our phones and our Google and everything, like we don't have to learn any of that anymore.
I don't know anyone's phone number.
We don't have to learn anything anymore.
I know like Eddie Bravo's phone number. I know my wife's phone number. I might know two other numbers.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I had 100 numbers in my head.
Yeah.
You can call your grandmother.
I still remember my phone number from when I was a kid.
Yeah, you could call your friends.
I could say it now, but that person probably wouldn't like that very much.
I got my phone number memorized from when I was in high school. It was our first phone number.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe we had a phone number. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, but that's...
We had phone numbers before, but that was the first one that I've remembered. And then that was the first answering machines too.
Right.
That was wild.
Remember, you would if you're out and you're trying to meet somebody and they're going to meet you and then they don't show up and you want to figure out where they are, you'd go to a payphone, put a quarter in it, call your phone, and then put your code in and check your answering machine or your voicemail from the mall.
You thought you were living in the future.
They'd leave a message on your answering machine to tell you, hey, sorry, I'm going to be a little late, and then you hang up and then it costs you a quarter. But that's how crazy everything's changed in such a small amount of time.
You were gone. No one knew where the fuck you were.
Absolutely.
There was no snap map. Where kids today, they look at each other on Snapchat maps where they all know where they are at any moment in time. There's no shenanigans.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about like how when I was a kid, we'd be able to very easily manipulate, the situation with my parents and say, okay, I'm going over.
Right. I'm going to Bobby's house.
Go drinking and skateboarding all night. And, that was better like that.
These kids today, they're tracked. Everyone's tracked.
Yeah.
It's not your parents, it's the government.
And we're not going to be able to really get rid of it now, too. That's the thing. There's no way this is going to turn back. No one's ever going to decide this has gone too far. It's just going to keep escalating and getting worse. And my eyes are getting bad because I find myself addicted to the phone as much as I know that it's happening. I'll get on that TikTok and I just start scrolling through stuff, and then shit, like 2 hours just went by. And my eyes are getting blurry, and it's really kind of starting to.
It's useless.
Piss me off, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for me, it's Instagram. I don't have TikTok, but I use the Instagram Reels. Which, God damn it, it's so nuts. Like one after the other. It's so interesting watching this mad scramble of people trying to figure out a new way to get your attention. Whether it's through like shooting a bow and arrow with your feet over your head at balloons. You ever seen those gals that do that? They stand on their hands, and they have a bow in their feet, and they have their legs all the way over the top of their head, and they draw the bow back with their feet.
I saw another thing kind of like that, but there was no bow and arrow involved. But yeah.
This is a thing.
Yeah, that sounds good. Are they wearing clothing as well? Or?
No, why would they be wearing clothing?
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, no,
they're wearing like bikinis. They're hot. Most gals with that kind of mobility with your body, probably pretty hot.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
How could you not have a hot body if you could do that? If you could get your butt over the top of your head and have your legs pull a bow back and then aim it and shoot it? What?
I certainly can't do that.
Who the fuck can do that? What percentage of the population can do that?
See, and this is kind of, I think, where we started with us was, how did I find out about rap music? How did I find out about Norm? We had to use a certain sense of creativity, and we had to go out of our way to find out about stuff.
Right.
And so it sounding like some couple of old guys here.
We are a couple of old guys
complaining about.
But that's what we are now.
The world was better before, but
I don't think the world was better before.
Yeah,
I don't think that's true.
There's some aspects of it like that I think forced us to be just a little bit more creative and think out of the box, because or at least in a different way, because you go find some drum machine, or you go down to the little comedy club in Ottawa, and stand-up comedy was a mainstream thing then. It was pretty big, but not in Ottawa. It was sort of almost like you felt like you were going somewhere that you weren't supposed to go. You go down to the basement. I was 16 years old. I'm in a bar. And there's some guy on stage. They're not talking about Norm Macdonald on television yet. He hadn't gone to SNL yet. I remember I'd see him, and my friends would see him, and then we'd go to school, and we'd tell our friends, you gotta go see this guy, Norm Macdonald. He'd come every 3 times a year, and every time he'd come, we'd be there. And it was just like this sort of myth, some mythology to it. And then all of a sudden, we heard he moved to Los Angeles because he was writing for Roseanne. We all heard about this, and it was this sort of, all the, the amateur comics, the kids up there are doing it. And, well, I guess I was the kid doing that. Everyone else was kind of in their 20s, but 30s, but everybody was just kind of like, there's hope. we can get out of Ottawa, man. So
there's something out there.
And then SNL and everything. It was just amazing to watch him do that. But I was having a good chat with Adam at the club, about Norm, because he was, of course, famously his sidekick on the show. Yeah. So it was such a shame to see Norm disappear like that.
He was talking about coming out here too.
Yeah. So, but it's so much has happened since I was here last. I got a lot of stuff I wanted. First of all, before I start talking about me, though, I just wanted to say thanks for having me at the club this weekend.
My pleasure.
So stoked. The club is amazing. It's been hanging out there for the last 2 nights, and I came in a little early and wanted to hang out and just settle in. And man, it's just such a vibe there. It's just such a perfect comedy club. You did such a great job.
You're the only guy that brings his dog everywhere that's not annoying. Maybe ever.
Yeah. Well,
maybe ever.
Yeah.
And everybody loves Charlie.
Yeah, everybody loves Charlie. Could be a
Charlie's in here with us now.
Yeah.
Charlie's a sweetie.
Charlie I got Charlie right before I came here the last time. She's named after the John Steinbeck novel Travels with Charlie, because I was out in the van, and that book's about Steinbeck in the 60s. Made a camper van out of a pickup truck, and he drove across America, and he wrote a book about America and its differences. It's called Travels with Charlie in Search of America, and I got Charlie at a rescue called Thrive is the name of the rescue, which is actually run by Jimmy Durante's daughter in San Diego, the entertainer Jimmy Durante, who it's like a ranch in San Diego, and they bring these dogs in from the Bahamas and Mexico, called pot cake dogs. And Charlie, anyways, we went out in the desert, and everybody loves Charlie, like you said.
There's Charlie. Charlie looks like she was just taking a nap.
Yeah.
What the fuck you waking me up for, Dad?
But
just taking a nap.
The funniest thing is
Charlie actually goes on stage with you. We should tell people.
Yeah, she just chills out up there. I just kind of take her.
It's gotta be so weird when you're killing.
Yeah.
All that noise.
She's kind of used to it.
But isn't that strange? What a strange experience for a dog.
Yeah.
To be in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she's on stage with Tom Green.
That's right. She left the
audience
Bahamas.
is cheering, and she's just sitting there like, what the fuck is this like?
Yeah. I look at her sometimes and wonder. She left at 5 weeks old, the Bahamas. So that was she got out of there 5 weeks old, and then was in San Diego. She got adopted by somebody else for like 3 months basically, and then they couldn't keep her. I got her at 3 months, and it's funny. She grows up in the Bahamas, then she goes to California. And then I moved back with her. I moved back to Canada since I was last here, and I left Los Angeles, following in your footsteps. The exodus continues.
It wasn't just me, man. I keep getting labeled as a Pied Piper of this, but come on, everybody was leaving.
Yeah, I gotta say though, there was a lot of factors to change my entire life. I sold my house around the time right after I was here.
And that was the house. That did the Tom Green show.
That I owned for 18 years. That I did the Webovision show, and Webovision we called it. And
why don't you do a show now?
So I'm building a podcast studio in my barn. It's in an unheated century barn.
And you gonna heat it?
No, not gonna heat it.
No.
But
you're gonna have conversations where you're freezing to death?
Yeah, we're gonna wear really warm jackets. Really? That's one thing that's cool about Canada. Like people talk about the cold and how fucking cold it is up there. But like the cool thing about the cold when you kind of get acclimated to it is you can kind of regulate your temperature like you wear a really warm Arctic jacket in the barn while you're doing the podcast. We'll probably move it in at some point.
Also, you can die outside.
You can't die, yeah.
It's a different thing.
Yeah.
It's a different thing. And it makes more resilient people. Yeah. I think it makes better people. I really do.
I was thinking about how you do. There's the barn, yeah.
You're freezing your dick off, son. First of all,
that's my dad. That's my dad there, yeah. So, yeah.
If you know what, you should get sponsored by one of those like heater bodysuit companies.
Yeah,
For deer hunters when they sit in those blinds.
Yeah,
when they sit, if deer hunters when they sit in tree stands, you know how fucking cold you get.
Yeah.
See, if it's cold out, that's one thing, but if it's cold out and you're not moving, that's another thing.
Yeah,
that's another thing. It could be fucking 0 degrees, but if you're hiking, you're fine.
Well, I wear these. I'm actually talking to a sponsor right now. They're might sponsor it. They're this clothing company, Baffin, and they make the warmest jackets, right? So it's like you can really regulate your temperature, right? And that's the thing. Like if you know how to do that, because it's been a lifestyle change. I got this farm. I'm on a farm now that I live on, and basically I'm going to live there now for the rest of my life. I know it. I'm never going to leave this place. I love it so much.
That's awesome.
It's a wilderness area with.
I enjoy your videos from there. It looks like you're really enjoying it.
I am really loving it. You know, it's just such a peace of mind to get up in the morning. And I've got this mule, and I got my strap there on the side. Yeah, I got my mule, and this is a whole new thing, Joe. I mean, first of all, I didn't know anything about horses and mules, but I got a mule and a donkey and some chickens. And
so a mule is a cross between a donkey and a horse, correct?
Yes. And I did not know that a year and a half ago.
They're supposed to like the most resilient animals for like riding trails and stuff.
So mules are it's sort of it all started with I found this property and this farm and I wanted to be outside, and then there was these 2 old barns there, and I would look at these barns and I'd say they were kind of calling for something to be put in them. They were 100 years old. There was stuff stored in them, and so some friends of mine and I, we kind of cleaned up the barns, and I got this mule and this donkey, and so initially the idea was I thought a mule would be kind of funny. Because they got bigger ears and they're kind of, I was thinking 3 amigos. I was thinking a donkey. I was thinking a mule was a donkey. I didn't even really know that much about it. But, and I started looking for a mule that you could ride. And there's not that many mules in Canada. They're much more of a Southwestern, American thing. George Washington brought mules to America. It was a big part of, settling America. They would use him for farming.
He brought them in?
Yeah, he was instrumental in being a big part of getting mules here. They would use them for, harvesting, pulling, harvesting crops and doing all the work around the farms and stuff. They have also been used in war a lot. They've been used in military. Mm-hmm. So
pioneers preferred them to horses.
Yeah, they're extremely strong. And they're very, very smart.
They can go longer without water.
They use less water, less food.
My friend Clay Newcomb is actually a mule expert.
Okay.
He's been on the podcast before.
Oh, cool.
He talked about fancy mules and like how you pick a mule and training a mule.
I follow him actually. I follow Clay.
Clay's interesting. He's
TikTok.
got a podcast called the Bear Grease Podcast. A lot of it is about bear hunting in Arkansas.
Oh, nice.
Just interesting, like outdoor stories. Like he's a very, very interesting guy, but he just knows a ton about mules.
Well, the thing that's
This episode is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. With all eyes on the NBA, now is the perfect time to get in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers who deposit $5 or more can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 back in a bonus bet. What's a no-sweat bet? It's like getting an offensive board. Missing your first shot, you get another chance to score. You heard that right. Get a bonus bet back in the amount of your original bet if your first bet doesn't hit. That's amazing. Go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code ROGAN. New customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 if your first bet loses. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the code ROGAN. The crown is yours. Tap the banner or visit this episode's page to learn more.
Must be 21 or older. Indiana only. One no-sweat bet per new customer. Issued as one bonus bet based on amount of initial losing bet. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Deposit, wagering, and eligibility restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. A lot of us spend our lives wishing we had more time. And the question is, time for what? If time was unlimited, how would you use it? Like if I had an extra hour in my day every day, I think I would practice archery, or maybe I would shoot pool. I'd write jokes. I'd do something. I'd find a way. But I'd love an extra hour. Be nice. Well, the best way to squeeze that special thing into your schedule is to know what's important to you so that you can make it a priority. And therapy can help you figure that out. A therapist can guide you through the process of defining your values and understanding your priorities so you know what things you can spend your time on that will really fulfill you. Otherwise, you'll always be wishing for more time. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. BetterHelp offers convenient, affordable online therapy that comes to you. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapist anytime for no additional charge. Learn how to make time for what makes you happy with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/JRE today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/JRE.
What's so crazy about them is they're extremely smart to a point that it's, people say stubborn as a mule. It's not really stubbornness. What is it? Self-preservation. So they figure out, basically, I'm riding this animal now. She's a very big mule, as you can see here. She's a very big mule. She's called 16.3 hands is the way you measure horses and mules. She's, I guess, tall as they get. Her mother was a horse, so a Percheron paint mix. So it's Percheron's a workhorse, almost like a Clydesdale. So she gets her size from that, and her father's a mammoth donkey, and she's 10 years old.
A mammoth donkey?
Yeah, a mammoth. Yeah,
what a great name.
Yeah. It's definitely created a very large, strong, serious animal.
I want to see a picture of a mammoth donkey.
Yeah.
How big is it?
There we go, yeah. Yeah, so you can sort of see.
Whoa, look at the size of that fucking thing. That's a donkey?
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude.
And you can ride those too, so. And
but are donkeys harder, between 900 and 1,200 pounds?
Yeah.
Are donkeys harder to train than mules?
I'm not sure of the answer to that. I'm not sure. But I know that mules are easier to train than horses, so I would assume, because they learn.
And mules are sterile.
They're sterile, yeah. So
it's a hybrid animal and it can't breed, isn't that fascinating? That like a male of one species can breed with a male of another species. They make an offspring. It's alive. It has testicles. It has sex drive. It has everything. Can't breed. So weird.
So the horse has. Let me get this right. I've been trying to learn as much about it as possible because I'm riding this thing and I don't want to die because you can fall off it and it's not fun falling off. I've fallen off a couple of times. But yeah, I wasn't too bad.
Yourself?
Yeah.
In the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, it was my own fault. I was streaming on Instagram and not paying attention. That's a good for beginners. Don't let go of the reins and play with your phone while you're riding on a 1,400-pound mule. Fanny's 1,400 pounds.
That's huge, man.
But yeah, I guess it's a horse has 64 chromosomes and a donkey has 62. And so when they breed, they take one of it ends up that the donkey, the mule has 63 chromosomes, which is not an even number, and therefore makes it sterile. So this is what I'm trying to.
So that's really
something kind of complicated.
Isn't it fascinating though that nature figured out a way to stop everything from fucking everything and just getting pregnant? Isn't it like nature's like, we gotta have a system in here because that's untenable. That's gonna lead to chaos.
Yeah.
Like if humans. Imagine.
Can you imagine?
Humans could get other things pregnant.
It is so
everything would be a hybrid of a human. Like everything.
Yeah, like be a lobster-human hybrid. Somebody would do that.
Island filled with turtle people.
People walking around with exoskeletons going, hey, this ain't so bad.
You could be on the island going, I can't believe someone fucked a turtle.
Yeah.
And there's going to be this guy like with a turtle shell on. Fuck you.
Yeah.
He's going to be mad at you. Like, I'm just saying.
Because people are insane. I mean, somebody has probably fucked a turtle.
100% someone's fucked a turtle. Right? If you had to bet everything you own, sure. 100%. A guy somewhere has been hopped up on some fucking Vietnamese street meth.
Right.
Fuck the turtle.
Of course, yeah.
Probably American.
Yeah.
Probably an American guy from the Southwest. Over there hiding from the law or something.
Right.
And he's methed up and he fucked a turtle.
Right.
Yeah, people have fucked everything.
But no result because of the power that nature has made these protections, thankfully.
The wildest hybrid, of course, is the liger.
Yeah.
Because they miss the gene that regulates size.
Yeah.
They don't have the same gene that like a tiger and a lion does.
I've seen those.
I forget which one. How does it work? Is it a male lion and a female tiger, or a male tiger and a female lion? I forget which one it is, but in that combination, when they make a liger, they just keep growing.
Yeah,
they're so big.
Yeah, I've looked at these on the internet. The thing is I guess a tiger and a lion and a donkey and a horse are close enough together in evolution to be able to do this. And there's, I guess, no animal that is close enough to us to be able to come close enough.
Because, they've done experiments.
Or maybe we just haven't. Maybe just nobody's fucked the right thing yet. Figure it out.
I bet someone pulled it off in China or Russia or something like that. They probably got some chimp-human hybrid somewhere.
I've heard sort of internet conspiracy theories that there was a Russian experiment that went awry or something like this. But
there was this one very strange case of a chimpanzee that they call humanzee. And this chimpanzee had very human-like features, and it lived with a family. I forget if it was a family of researchers. I forget the story, but they always end tragically because those things ultimately, as they get older, they want to be the boss. Mm-hmm. It's a big male. Right. They're going to just fuck you up. They're going to bite your fingers off or bite your friend's finger. It's always something like that. They always do something horribly violent eventually. But this one that they had him for a long time, and he looked like a human. Yeah. It looked weird. And he stood upright a lot. He wore clothes. He's got a big old donkey dick. Look at that donkey dick. The humanzee of Orange Park.
First of all, humanzee is such a great name. I mean, I almost wish it had worked just for that reason alone. Right. Humanzee. I mean, there'd be humanzees going around. But, I often kind of have
little... You can find there's some weird, shocking pictures of it. Like that one in the upper right-hand corner. The one, right there.
And they're so strong.
Click on that one. Look at its face. Yeah. It's got an odd face. Mm-hmm. And there's some pictures, I think, that are probably doctored that made it a little more human-looking. They confuse people. But the thing, as it got older, see if you can find the older pictures of it. It looked real weird, man. Yeah. But it was just a chimp. It was just a chimp that, had been taught to behave that way. Yeah. Look at how he's walking. He's walking like a chimp. He's not walking like a human. Look at the shoulders and the arms. That's a chimp.
I sometimes think about the close calls I've had with a couple times with animals where I wasn't really giving them not like just understanding the power they had. Like I had a chimpanzee on a show I did once on a TV show back in the day, and it was a trained chimpanzee, but massive. And I remember after the show, I just said, "Hey, can I hang out with the chimpanzee?" So it came out, and I was sitting out with him in the parking lot for about half an hour, just me and this chimpanzee, right in front of me, looking right in my eyes. He was playing with the buttons on my shirt, and the trainer was 20 feet away, and I just thought it was the cutest thing. And then a few years later, read about the chimpanzee ripping that, killing people and how violent they are, and you go, man, that is. I had a macaw at one point, which I actually had to get rid of. Big red parrot, a macaw, and I got it in when it was 13 months old. And this was my biggest disappointment, I'd say, with a pet, because I had gotten this macaw. His name Rex. He was on the web show for a period of time. I was after you were on at that time, and I really love this thing, and I love animals, and I was so fascinated by it because I was realizing, this is a pet that I'm going to have for the rest of my life, and I was all dedicated to this, and I was really kind of somewhat moved by the fact that I was going to be having this beautiful macaw for the rest of my life, and it would pick my teeth, and it would stick its beak in my mouth, and literally just kind of chew on my ear and all of this kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, when it got to be about 13 years old, it just became a real asshole. Like it really, really changed. It had been going from this little baby to I couldn't put my hand in the cage without it really biting hard, and I almost took my finger off. I had to go in the cage to clean the cage, and I couldn't pick it up anymore, and I actually had to find it a new home. But
I think it just didn't like being in a cage.
I'm sure it didn't. I wouldn't like it myself, you know.
Yeah.
And that feels bad too. That's the thing I don't really like about having.
You're a prison warden.
Yeah, exactly. I started to feel really bad, so I took it back to the bird place where I got it, and they said to me, "Oh yeah, we don't." It's been 13 years later. You know, I've been spending $75 a month on walnuts for 13 years. Okay, you know, these eat a lot of walnuts, and then they say, "Oh yeah, we don't sell macaws anymore because when they get to be 13, they change and they become really, really mean." I'm like, "Well, you could have told me that 13 years ago." But so
it's like there's an internal clock.
Yeah, they just
so it's like a puberty thing.
Like a puberty thing, yeah. And so I feel bad, but I got her a better home.
That's why it's scary to be in front of a chimp.
Yeah,
the chimp.
Exactly.
They could just decide.
I have
fuck this guy up.
I have these moments where I think about the time when that macaw would have its beak in my mouth, and just
your lips.
months before it could have ripped my face apart, sitting with that. But the Fanny, this mule, and I have the donkey as well, who was her companion for her, named Kia. She was a 2-year-old donkey, and the donkey lived to be 50 potentially. And the Fanny is a big animal, so she could live to be 30, 35 years old. And so she's 10 now, so it's a big responsibility. And I really kind of consider them now, after having them just for a short time, kind of family. You know, it's an amazing thing. But the thing that's most interesting about a mule, we won't talk about mules for the whole show, but you know, they are so smart that they figure you out. So I'm new to this. So when I first got her, I was given 1 day of training on how to ride a horse. You know? So I learned how to saddle her up. I learned how to get up on this thing. You know, you pull the rein, you look where you want to go, you push with your foot opposite of the side you want to turn. There's a sort of little rhythm to that. And it went great for about a month, but then she started sort of figuring out that I was sort of uncertain in what I was doing. She started to understand that I didn't know what I was doing. And so she starts testing me, right? And I don't necessarily realize that's what's going on. So,
like how so?
So when I'd be saddling her up, she would move. So I'd go to saddle her, take the saddle. It's a big saddle. You got to put it up on her back. You put a saddle pad on, and you got to put the saddle on, and then she would move into me and kind of push me. You know? And I didn't really know how to prevent that because she's 1,400 pounds. So I'd have to kind of lead her around, try to get her back in position. It became this weird sort of dance of me running around trying to get the saddle on. I'd eventually get it on. But what happens is she ends up losing all respect for me because I'm letting her sort of be the leader, right? And so a mule really wants me to be the leader, and it's hard for me to be the leader at first because I'm uncertain. So they sense uncertainty. So when I'm riding her, and there's wolves at my place in the woods.
Oh, fun!
Yeah, it's real. I got a story about that too. And there's wolves there. I was showing JB before the show. There's video of them on my trail cams. But she sees them coming out of the woods at night. She doesn't necessarily want to go into the woods. She thinks it's unsafe. It's not, because obviously they're not going to attack her and me. She's a giant mule, but she thinks that. So over time, she started to not want to go in that direction. She stopped wanting to turn left. And so what would happen is I start to realize she didn't want to go there. So every time I wanted to go there, I would get nervous. I would feel uncertain. Oh, she's not going to want to go there. She would sense that I was nervous. I would double down, and then she wouldn't go in there. So I had to kind of get into this real sort of a psychological retraining, kind of a mule intervention from the people that raised her.
I have so many questions.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, it's really wild. I've got it's really interesting, the intricacy of how you figure this out.
Now, did you have any training before you got a mule?
So she was owned by a single owner in northern Canada, in a place called Thunder Bay, which is about 18 hours drive north of me. Way colder up there. She's like in Club Med down now in southern Canada. She's probably loving it. But and her owners were Kaya and Lisa, who have they breed mules. They're called Twister mules.
Did you get any training?
They drove her down, and we spent about 3 days. Okay, and they showed me how to saddle her up, and they talked to me about it, and I learned as much as one can learn in 3 days. There's the basics, right?
Right.
There's the basics, like
Did you do a lot of it when they were there by yourself? Like they just told you how to do it, and you walked over and did it?
They spent time with me for about 3 days, but this is kind of. They're telling me I'm doing quite well because I actually am able to handle this animal now, but it's been an interesting journey the last, since June. I got her in June because at first it's the very first sort of on the surface way that you ride a mule is you look where you want to go, lightly pull the rein. If you want to go left, you pull the left rein lightly. If that doesn't work, but you might not even have to pull the rein. You could just look where you want to go, and they feel your body shifting. They sense your intent, and you have to look in that direction.
Like Avatar, when you link up with the dragon.
It's like telepathy. It's like telepathy for sure. It really is, and you feel it, and it's such a really cool feeling when you really get into the pocket with it. So then you pull lightly, then you do a little push with your foot. And so that's all sort of very, physical stuff. And it worked fine for a while, but then, I didn't quite understand the overall psychological sort of hierarchy that gets created and a trust level that's created between the mule and myself. The more I screwed up, just even in the barnyard, the more I let her get in my space. You don't ever want to let a mule get in your space. Like, gets in your space, a very sort of easy way to control that is you can just put your hands up to her eyes like that. Like, you don't even have to touch her. Right? And then they back off. I didn't know that, right? So I was kind of like, I'm pushing it. It's like with a thing, trying to stop.
And it realizes how small you are.
It realizes how small I am, and it realizes I don't know what I'm doing, and it loses all respect. And so you start to once you start to learn a little bit deeper about how to handle those just on the ground with her, then once you get up on her, she has a little bit more respect and is more apt to listen to you. But it was really interesting because they came back. They're really great. They're trying to bring more mules into Canada because they love mules, and there is something very different and special about mules because of their intelligence, and so it's really interesting. They came back and spent some more time with me, and we would go out. We went out on the trail, and Fanny doesn't like ATVs. Okay, so I've got this Polaris side by side that I drive around property on. It's a noisy, ATV, 4-wheel vehicle thing, and they were driving ahead of me and to kind of instruct me, and I'm following along, and we're coming up the trail, and they stopped, and as we approach the ATV, it's parked on the trail, there's a space on the side, I'm going to ride around the trail, but in my head, I'm thinking, Fanny's not going to want to go around this ATV, and we get up there, and I try to turn her around the ATV by looking, pulling the rein, pushing my leg, she just stops, and when she stops, and when she decides she doesn't want to go, this isn't like a little trail riding, carnival horse, she gets going, and will turn and really kind of get quite, aggressive in a way, and which is kind of exciting, though, I got to tell you. And I was a skateboarder; I got pretty good balance, so it's kind of interesting. But the thing that was wild about it, so then I go, well, she's not going to want to go around the ATV. I say to Kaya and Lisa, and they say, no, well, it's not that she doesn't want to go around the ATV; it's she knows that you think she doesn't want to go around the ATV. You have to think in your head that she wants to go around the ATV.
What?
Yeah, because when you're subconsciously, whether we know it or not, as human beings, we didn't always have language, right? Right. Someone invented language at some point. Before that, we were just kind of all this nonverbal communication and energy, right? So you get up to the ATV, and if I'm thinking, I should have them around the ATV. Oh, look, my whole body just went like that. I sighed. I felt like a sense of defeat, right? She feels that just through her saddle. It's not total like voodoo. She feels like,
Yeah, but it might be a little bit of voodoo.
possibly as well. I mean,
It seems like
there's a magic to it.
Attribute all that to body.
She feels it. She feels it. And she's so smart that so a horse doesn't necessarily sense that as easily as a mule, like quite a bit less easily. So that's why people say mules are stubborn, because they're sensing all of these little nonverbal cues that a horse might just be apt to say, oh, he pulled on the rein, so I'm going to go that way. He pushed his foot, so I'm going to go that way. So, and that's why also mules are also extremely, they're used in war, and they're used in Grand Canyon trail riding and things like this, because, if a horse is walking along the edge of a cliff and a snake jumps out, the horse might be apt to just jump the other way off the cliff, killing himself. And whereas a mule will instantly identify cliff that way, snake that way, danger both ways. Mule will kill the snake. It'll stomp out the snake. So, or it at least won't jump off the cliff.
Right.
So
that's way better.
Yeah, better.
I think we should just all have mules.
All have mules. You should get a mule. You should get a mule.
I definitely would not have the time to be training a mule. It seems like that's it. Here's my question, though. This is the other question I got to remember. Why would you think that the wolves would not attack the mule?
Well, it's not. First of all,
because if she's scared of the wolves, I think she should be scared of the wolves.
Donkeys and mules, especially donkeys, and mules have donkeys, so they're actually used a lot as livestock protection animals, so because they'll stomp out a coyote or a wolf. So a lot of farmers get them, put them in with their sheep, and they'll actually protect the herd. So
that's awesome.
So it's not impossible, but it is pretty uncommon that coyotes, and in my area the wolves are not gray wolves; they're timber wolves, so they're not as big, but they're big enough though. They're about the size of huskies.
So they mostly kill like deer and
smaller stuff.
They don't try for elk or anything like that. Because the big gray wolves will take out elks.
Yeah, I'm sure they. I think
moose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Moose are so big, man. For a wolf to take out a moose, that's crazy.
Yeah. These are my trail cams at my place.
Wow, let's drop a deuce right there on your trail cam, staring you in the eye. That's an alpha move right there, son. I guarantee that's the alpha.
Yeah.
He knows you get that trail camera. You say, Tom Green, check this out, bitch.
Yeah,
shit right in front of your camera.
So it's the only way to know 100% for certain that they're wolves and not a hybrid. Yeah, I know you know all about this, Joe, but like the coy wolves is to do a DNA test, but
coy wolf is kind of a misnomer, because a coyote is a wolf.
Yeah.
The reason why the coyote spread so far across the country is because they have like a built-in mechanism to protect them from gray wolves, because gray wolves would kill the coyotes, whereas the red wolves in the East Coast would breed with the coyotes, and that's where you get the coy wolf. I think they're viable. I think when they breed, they can breed.
Oh yeah.
I don't think they're like a donkey. Or like a mule, rather.
You mean a coyote and a wolf?
I think when the coy wolves, whatever they call them, coy wolves, I think they're viable. I think they have babies.
Yeah, absolutely. No, they are for sure. Yeah.
And it's not really. It's not different.
It's kind of like two different kind of dogs or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I've been getting some information about this from a wolf researcher who lives near me, and he has sort of put out some trail cams, and we've actually laid out some fur traps that can get a little bit of their fur, and we sent it for a DNA sample to find out exactly the percentage of DNA that wolf to coyote that we have here. Because it's kind of, I don't know. You live out in the wilderness, you find these kinds of things I find it quite interesting to just really dive into it deep.
Oh, it's fascinating. You're out there in the real wild. You're in the wild where there's packs of predators in your neighborhood.
And I wish I had bear footage right now, but I it's not online. But this year I put out my trail cams, and I got I'd say a little more than a half dozen distinct different bears on that exact trail, which is on my property right by my house.
Brown bear or black bear?
Black bear, yeah. We don't have grizzlies out east, so it's just in Canada even. They're all
yet.
Not yet.
The liberals will try to reintroduce them. You need more things to be scared of.
Well,
talking about bringing grizzlies back to California.
Yeah. I want you to come to Canada, Joe. I know you haven't come to Canada, but even lately. But you got to come to Canada because here's the thing. I watch the show all the time, so I know your feelings about Canada. But here's the thing. Like, everybody loves you in Canada, you know. So I'm coming down here. Everybody's so stoked that I'm here, and
I love Canadians. I just hate their government.
Mm-hmm. And
sometimes Pierre, how do you say his last name? Poilievre?
Yeah, well, it's French, so well, I don't think he's French, but the name's French. Pierre Poilievre. That's sort of a weird R, silent R.
Yeah, it's a strange. As you see it written down, it's very difficult.
Poilievre. Yeah.
That guy makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
He's so common sense and just calling out all the nonsense that's been done under this administration. It's just so sad to watch.
So this is the thing that I kind of, I guess, just wanted to throw out there, which is, it's not unlike here in the U.S., right? You've got Biden as the president now, right? And then you've got essentially a Democrat. We actually call our Democrats the liberals, right? That's how unabashed we are liberal up there. We actually call the party the Liberal Party. It's not a bad word up there, right? They actually call them the liberals.
And the other ones are conservative.
Conservatives, liberals and conservatives. But it's the same thing, you know, like half the country hates the party in power right now, just like as much as anybody, you know, and it's just a constant thing, and they want to get them out. And so, yeah, I just wanted to, you know, as a proud Canadian, want to throw out the distinction that, you know, Canada's, you know, it's like here. It's the same bullshit that's here. Everybody's arguing about issues, important issues. It's being reinforced, you know, through these algorithms. People get mad about it, and then they start arguing. But so, you know, like I sometimes kind of go, wouldn't it be interesting if Pierre Poilievre won the next election, right? Because then all of a sudden we'd have a conservative government up there, and let's say Biden won down here, you got conservative government up there, and then Tucker Carlson might be going up to Canada talking about how great we are all of a sudden, you know. It just can switch on a dime, you know.
It could go back.
And it has before. I've had, you know, there's been my lifetime. Joe Clark was the first conservative prime minister. Then there was Brian Mulroney, and Stephen Harper was pretty recent. So, but anyways, I don't like talking politics, but I did bring something about Canada that I love. That I want to.
Okay,
it's a good thing. I try not to talk politics too much because it's like
it's gross.
It just everybody gets all mad, you know.
Yep.
I kind of think like, wouldn't it be cool if the new thing became people start to realize that the division is almost worse than what we're arguing about?
Well, the division is absolutely worse than what we're arguing about. Yeah. Most people want good things. Oh,
this is for you and your family. A huge. And I brought one for us too, just to try. This is the freshest, best Canadian maple syrup made by my friends, the Conboys, Ryan and Jason. Shout out to Ryan, Jason, George, and Darlene. And they make this on their property. They have you know, thousands of maple trees tapped.
Wow. And
this is, you know, a family-run business. They've been doing this for hundreds of years.
But that is a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a whole
maple syrup, like I've watched people make maple syrup on YouTube. It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
it's crazy how much work is involved,
and it's really kind of incredible to go see how they do it, because they've built these, like, I can't describe it properly, but reverse osmosis machines where they have tubes coming, you know, with the sap from in the spring, the sap starts flowing, comes through these tubes from all through their woods on their property. It runs out to their barn where they have these machines that do something called reverse osmosis. I don't know what it is doing exactly, but they have to do it. And then it goes into this giant vat with fires, with wood burn fires, and they boil the sap down until, you know, it becomes thicker and there's more sugar content, and then you have this delicious syrup. But I brought a couple of...
it's literally the blood of trees that you pour on pancakes.
It is, and you know what?
Are we going to drink it? Like in shot glasses?
I just thought, as opposed to drinking whiskey till we're on the floor this time.
I never made it to the floor, sir. You made it to the floor. I maintain
I don't remember what
level
happened.
of emotion and the ability to conversate.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well,
Dude, that's diabetes in a shot
yeah,
glass.
we'll just do a shot, but I want you to see what's this real maple syrup, Canadian maple syrup. It's Convoy maple syrup. They're my friends. They're the best friends that you'd ever want, and it's not your manufacturer sort of processed shit. Cheers.
Do you have to do it like a shot? No.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my god, I can't drink this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's really good though.
Pour it on some pancakes. Yeah.
It just makes you think, like, how much sugar are you getting from pancakes with a pile of maple syrup? Are you getting a fuck ton of sugar?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, how much sugar is in, what is a shot glass? How many ounces is that?
I should know this.
1 ounce. Let's just say how much sugar is in 1 ounce of maple syrup.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, how could you drink that?
Yeah, no, you don't really drink maple syrup, right? We're just doing it for
fun.
Pour it on your pancakes.
It's amazing how good it tastes on your pancakes.
It's good in coffee. Put it in your coffee in the morning. So I keep a big jug of it.
17 grams in a shot glass.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, if I'm having pancakes, I am drowning those bitches.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got you. I'll get you more whenever you need some. It's the best. It's different than
Waffles with that on it?
Oh, yeah.
Son.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of butter.
Oh yeah.
Up to 20.
Up to 20. Okay. 20.
So
So if I'm having pancakes, I'm having 120 at least.
Yeah.
I'm pouring a bunch of maple syrup on that shit.
6 ounces.
Yeah, easy. Easy 6 ounces, like a glass of it.
Yeah.
I'm getting in between the stack,
Mm-hmm.
pouring a little in there.
It's just a nice little boost, a little energy boost,
It's for like 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and you're in a coma for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Black Rifle Coffee. Black Rifle Coffee is the only coffee that I drink. It's the only coffee we serve in the studio. It's the only coffee I have at my house. If I have to drink other coffee, I will do it. But I drink Black Rifle Coffee. I am excited to say that Black Rifle Coffee is finally partnering with the UFC. If you haven't tried this coffee yet, you should head to their website and use the code Joe to get 30% off your purchase. I'm a huge fan of this coffee and the people behind it. Some of them are my very good friends. Evan Hafer's a very good friend of mine. They're veteran-founded and veteran-run, and every purchase you make through Black Rifle Coffee helps in their mission to support veteran and first responder causes. I'm talking everything from getting them funding and equipment to helping veterans fight cancer. They do a lot to give back to those who serve our nation, and it's so awesome to see them partnering with the UFC in a year that's so stacked with insane fight cards. But it's not just their mission that makes them so great. Black Rifle Coffee also has some fucking fantastic coffee. They source exotic roasts from all over the world. Evan's a real coffee nerd. He was brewing coffee in the back of his Humvee while he was deployed. They have he's a real coffee nerd who's also a veteran. Wide variety of ground coffee, whole beans, even K-cups. So go check out all of the different flavors on their website, and while you're there, make sure you take a look at their gear and apparel. They have top-notch mugs, graphic tees, workout gear, outdoor apparel, and more, all made with patriotic designs that you aren't going to find anywhere else. So go to blackriflecoffee.com and use the code Joe right now for 30% off your purchase. That's blackriflecoffee.com with the code Joe. Tap the banner to learn more. This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. You probably already know that Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for creating a website, but they do so much more than that. For example, you can drive sales and engage your audience with Squarespace email campaigns. They make it easy to collect email subscribers and repeat business through regular email updates. You can sell anything you want with Squarespace, whether it's physical goods, digital products, or services. They have all the tools you need to set up an online store. You can even sell in person by connecting a Square Reader to the Squarespace app and keep your orders, inventory, and customer data in sync with your website. Try it for yourself. For a free trial, just head to squarespace.com/Joe. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code Joe to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But I guess if you're out there on your farm, fucking throwing hay around all day, exhausted.
I did this summer in August. I have some fields with hay. We cut the fields, and I have some local farmers that helped me cut the fields to square bales.
So you're really farming.
Yeah, I had
Farming for real.
farming hay for my animals. Yeah, I had 580 bales of hay off the property this year, and we had to lift it all, carry it all onto a hay wagon. See, because I'm going to try it figure out a way to do it a little differently next year. But normally the farmers that have done my property for years, they've been doing it with these big circle round bales, But I wanted to get square bales this year because it's easier to handle for the horses the mules and the donkey every day. So see, every day I go to the barn, I pick up a bale, they eat about a bale and a half of hay a day. It's cool because from May, June till about the end of September, you don't even have to feed them. They're just out in the pasture eating grass. Which I often think about, when you think about vegetarians and you go, how do you put on, muscle with just veg? And you look at this giant animal, all it's doing is eating grass all day. They're massive, but yeah, so that I got to figure out a better way to get it in the barn this year because some of my friends
have to eat it all day long. That's the difference between eating meat and eating grass. If you watch Predators eat and then they sleep all day. But you watch a donkey, those motherfuckers are just eating all day long. Yeah. You have to eat all day long. Yeah. They're always eating. Yeah. Because there's not a lot of protein in that food. It's got to break down in their weird digestive tract. Yeah. Yeah. It's undulate digestive tract.
So Fanny and Kia have come from a pasture that had, 20 other animals in it to my place where they're just there by themselves with a whole field to themselves. So Fanny was putting on some weight last summer. I have to now kind of monitor how much she's out in the pasture.
I should correct myself. Ungulates are cows and shit. I'm thinking of cows.
Right. The weird stomachs and stuff. I'm not exactly sure how the stomachs work on these.
I don't know those equines. But I know that, to think that you could get that jacked eating vegetables is ridiculous.
Right. That's what I was kind of thinking. Because
vegans always like to make that comparison.
Yeah.
Gorillas, they eat nothing but vegetables. They have a totally different body.
They are also not humans. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not human beings. Yeah. It doesn't mean if you ate what a fucking horse eats, you'd look like a horse, you dumbass. You're not a horse. And also, do you know how annoying that would be to have to eat grass all day?
It doesn't sound like a blast. Not a lot of variety there. Yeah, I think about that. I have cookies for them. I have little.
Cool.
I have a vitamin, sort of a vitamin mix of. That I give them every day.
Is variation to their diet good though? Like for some animals, when you
got it, for instance, apples. Okay, I have apple trees at the property, and that's one of the places she loves to walk towards the apple tree because there's apples on the ground. So she always, you can feel her pulling towards the apple tree. So, but you don't want her to eat, a bunch of apples because that can create acid in their stomach and they can get sick.
Yeah, I was wondering that. Yeah, what happens to them in the wild though if they find a bunch of apples?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure.
They're fucked up.
I'm not sure if they. I don't know the answer to that. But maybe they kind of somehow self-regulate when they're left to their own. But, you can feed them carrots and one thing, I haven't done this yet, but I understand that they really like, I was just told, because I'm actually thinking, what kind of variety can I give the ladies, So they really like a frozen watermelon to be tossed into there.
Oh, no kidding.
So, and they'll just...
Bears like that, too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I went to a grizzly bear, I guess it's just like a conservation center where they have these enormous places. It's in Montana, but they're like captive, but it's really an enormous construction thing, and the bears bears have like swimming pools and shit, and they would roll them out, these frozen watermelons, and watch them bite through a frozen watermelon will scare the living fuck out of you.
Right.
Because they go through it like it's nothing.
A grizzly does that. I've seen hippopotamus do it on YouTube, but a grizzly does that too.
I think most of the time the hippos are doing it, it's not with a frozen one.
Yeah.
But they were saying that this bear's favorite treat is frozen watermelon. So yeah, a frozen watermelon, you just go through like it's a grape.
See, grizzlies are terrifying. Although I admit that I am also actually it's probably not really a warranted or fear, but I am nervous about these black bears, on the property.
You should be nervous. What are you talking about?
They do attack people occasionally.
They will attack you. And if black bears attack you, they're attacking you to eat you.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different.
Statistically, the odds are in my favor. I think it's not as, like, grizzlies, they've attacked a lot of people. I think black bears maybe only attack, like, one person a year or something like that.
They attack people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a guy who got killed over by Rutgers in New Jersey. He was killed by a black bear.
Yeah.
There was a friend of a buddy of mine went hunting for his very first trip. He was in his tent at night, and a 500-pound predatory black bear tried to remove him from the tent. And his friend shot the bear and accidentally shot his friend in the wrist.
Yeah. So
he got shot in the wrist with a rifle. The bear gets shot. The bear runs off after it gets shot, and then they don't. I think they recovered it. I think it's dead. Yeah. But imagine your first night ever camping in a tent, and a black bear tries to pull you out and eat you.
Yeah. So I think sometimes people bring food in their tent. That's one common mistake. So
your food, bitch. Your food. Your food in a tent. Your pigs in a blanket.
If you bring in, like, you should really. That is one thing that is why they go in the tents a lot. They smell. Someone brought their sandwich in the tent or whatever.
That's true.
But yeah, no. I mean, look, I'm right there with you. There's something about it though that, well, when you're out there in nature and you kind of your sort of natural instincts kick in, where you feel it, and the fact that there is something unpredictable and that you don't understand out there is kind of exciting. Like the fact that there is, I'm not really truly expecting to get attacked by a bear, but your senses are on alert. You're listening into the woods. They're there. They know you're there, and they've probably left. But maybe this is the one time where they're walking along with their cub, and you get in the wrong position at the wrong time. And so, often when I go for a walk, I have bear spray on me. I sometimes, have a rifle on me. I don't carry it with me every time I leave the house, but I've got a few rifles and that I've not really been a hunter, in my life, but I kind of, so many people around me, around the country, everybody hunts, and I think I'm going to maybe.
How much land do you have?
150 acres. So it's kind of.
Certainly hunt on that.
Yeah, and there's deer, and it's quite,
sure.
It's quite, something that I never really expected to kind of live like that, but it's really kind of interesting. And then it backs onto lots of, thousands and thousands of acres of protected wilderness. So it's.
Are you allowed to hunt back there?
Yeah, and on my property too. So.
What is the tag allocation like? Do you get landowner tags? Do you get tags because you're a resident of the area?
You still have to get a hunting license. So
right.
In Canada, it's. If you want to get a rifle, first of all, it's completely different than in Texas, right? You can't just go buy one. You have to go take. It's like getting your driver's license. Essentially, you have to go take. You have to write a test, and you have to pass it, and you have to do a course, a safety course, and then you have to send that into the RCMP, the Canadian, the Mounties, right? They review it, and then a couple months later, you get your non-restricted firearms license, which allows you to go buy a rifle. I've been collecting lever action rifles, so I've got just,
that's cool.
Relatively new to this, but when I was out in the desert, I had a shotgun with me. I had a hunting license when I was in New Mexico. I was trying to hunt some quail. Never saw a bird though, so it was, I was hunting, but I never saw anything, so I didn't really do. It's hard. I'm still hunting, but I never saw anything. So, but so it's there's. That's why Trying to think of what I want to tell you here, Joe. That's why I think I really would love you to come up to Canada sometime and visit, maybe, and come up and do some shows up there. People would love to see you. And there's just such a huge outdoors hunting, fishing culture. That's what being Canadian is. Once you get out of the city, right? It's people are just it's people love to hunt, people love to fish. I go ice fishing with my friends. We go set up a.
Didn't they put new restrictions on firearms up there?
They just banned handguns. Absolutely, yeah, but not rifles. Yeah, which is pretty extreme, but from an American standpoint, certainly. I mean, to think that.
So if you own handguns, do you have to get rid of them?
No, you're not allowed to sell them to anybody, and you're stuck with them. So it's that and that's probably the biggest change that's happened. And there is also no automatic weapons up there, so you can't get a AR-15, for example. It's
AR-15s aren't automatic.
Or there's that caliber or whatever. Yeah, you can't get those weapons, but you can get a rifle, a shotgun. I have a 308, I have a 243, I have a 22, I have a shotgun. I have 20 gauge, 12 gauge, all the normal hunting rifles are fine. So,
what was the thought process behind banning firearms or banning pistols?
Well, I wasn't really kind of. I think it was just an attempt to curb.
Voted on?
Well, they voted for the government, and the government did it. So obviously, some people aren't too happy about it. One thing about Canada is the gun culture is different up there. It's more people are. I think I'm going to get in trouble with the people that are handgun enthusiasts in Canada, but it's just not as common up there. It's more about hunting and hunting rifles, but there are probably a lot of people that are pretty upset about it for sure. They're not actually taking away people's rifles or anything like that. So, but.
One of the exemptions is individuals train, compete, or coach in a handgun shooting discipline that is on the program of International Olympic Committee or the International Paralympic Committee. Looks like someone's going to have to become a shooter. Yeah, I compete.
I'm personally
competing shooting. That's why I have to have this gun.
I'm not really I don't really, I like my lever action rifle. I like my shotgun. I think I might hunt turkeys this year. I'd like to do that. We have a lot of turkeys on the property. I'm not really. I don't necessarily feel like I need a handgun. It's a different kind of.
I don't necessarily feel that anybody should tell me that I can't have a handgun.
Yeah,
especially not the government.
Yeah.
Especially not the government that's already done some really shady shit.
Yeah.
What they did with the truck drivers.
Right. Well, I'm from Ottawa too, so the trucker rally was interesting.
Dude, they fucking took away their bank accounts. Mm-hmm. They seized they closed people's and froze people's bank accounts that just donated money.
Yeah, is that coffee?
Yes.
You know what? I was first of all, the trucker rally was interesting because I'm from Ottawa, so I grew up. The Parliament Hill. I'm sure you saw it on the news, like the Parliament buildings is our basically our Congress and our Senate combined, essentially, the House of Commons and the Senate.